What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team must track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity if it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, a deadly race around the globe begins. Confronted by a mysterious, all-powerful enemy, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than the mission, not even the lives of those he cares about most. This movie is directed by Christopher McQuarrie and stars Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Rebecca Ferguson, Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, Vanessa Kirby, Esai Morales, Pom Klementieff, and Czerny. So I'm a very new fan to the Mission Impossible franchise. I just watched Rogue Nation and Fallout for the first time a few days ago in preparation for this movie. And man, do I feel like a dumbass because they were some of the best action movies I've ever seen. I really wish I saw those movies in theaters when they first came out, but whatever. You get it. I'm an asshat. How is this movie? For the first part of a two-part story, I was actually very happy and satisfied with how this movie turned out. There's no crazy Spider-Verse cliffhanger. It tells this part of the story in its entirety, and it's one hell of a ride. Christopher McQuarrie directed the hell out of this movie yet again with some unbelievable action set pieces and an almost perfectly paced movie. That gives the story enough time to breathe, while also delivering on the thrills that everybody wants from a Mission Impossible movie. This one was almost 3 hours long, and I was never bored. I was always invested in the story. This one might not be quite as action-packed as some of the other movies in the franchise, but because of how massive the story is, I didn't really mind that choice. That's just how it goes when you have a story that's being told in multiple parts. You gotta set the table for the finale. I will say though, the plot does feel a little too convoluted and complicated at times. There's one scene in particular where everything's kind of just laid out for you, and my head was like spinning at all the information I was being fed in such a short amount of time. I mean, it's a lot and it doesn't stop. It just keeps coming at you like,
okay. Are you saying pow? What are you saying?
I think the exposition probably could have been like sprinkled around the movie instead of just randomly dropping a brick on my head in the middle of it. I will admit though, I did see the movie after working all day, so maybe my brain just didn't have enough processing power left to just make everything kind of make sense in my head, but it still just felt a little excessive to me regardless. But I do think it was a cool idea for a story, and I was very intrigued throughout the film. The premise set up a lot of interesting scenarios. I think it could lead to even more twists and turns in part 2. Like I said, the action is great as always, but I do think it's a little bit of a step down from what we got in Fallout and Rogue Nation. This movie does have a lot of great tense moments though. The first one that comes to mind is a great sequence at an airport, and there's also a great chase sequence in Rome. And Christopher McQuarrie is definitely a massive fan of Uncharted because there's a set piece that takes place on a train, and some of the stuff is just ripped directly from Uncharted 2. And that made me happy and sad. Happy because it was awesome to see, made me think of one of my favorite video games. And sad because a Mission Impossible movie did an Uncharted scene 20 times better than any scene in the actual Uncharted movie. Tom Cruise is a madman, but he's just so fucking awesome. Ethan Hunt is the character that I'm always going to remember him as. He's one of the best action heroes of all time. I think he's an interesting character, and Tom always gives a great performance, but it's just the stunts and physicality that he brings to this role and to these movies that just make them stand apart from any other action movies that we get today. It'd be so easy just to have a video game CGI Tom Cruise doing all this crazy shit, but he just does it for real. And you just gotta kind of tip your hat to that level of insanity because he's truly one of a kind. And I love the team that we've had for the past few movies, but I do feel like they were kind of underutilized at times in this one. When we get scenes with Ilsa, Benji, and Luther, they're great as always, but I could have used just a little bit more of that in this movie. Especially when you have great actors like Rebecca Ferguson, Simon Pegg, and Ving Rhames. The character that got the most spotlight besides Ethan is Grace, played by Haley Atwell. I enjoyed her character and she did a great job in the role, but she was just kind of hard to root for at times. She screws Ethan over a lot, and that's kind of putting it nicely. She kind of leaves him for dead multiple times in this movie, but by the end of the movie I did end up really liking her. But I'm still Ilsa gang. Esai Morales plays the villain of the movie, Gabriel, and I kind of have mixed feelings about him. In this movie, I thought he was a cool character, but he was just a little bit underdeveloped and kind of one note. But if they develop him a little bit more in part 2, I could easily see him being one of the best villains in the franchise. But as it stands right now, I sound like a broken record. I think the villains of Fallout and Rogue Nation are better. I'm really happy they brought Vanessa Kirby back. I really enjoyed her in Fallout, and she stands out again to me in this movie. I just think she's really fun to watch. I also thought Pom Klementieff was cool as Paris. She doesn't have much to do character-wise, but I just thought she has some really good screen presence. Overall, I don't think there's going to be another action blockbuster this summer that's going to come close to this movie. Mission Impossible has already solidified itself as one of the best action franchises of all time, and this is just another great entry into that franchise. It gives you everything you want from these movies while elevating the stakes and making it a little bit more personal for Ethan. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is clocking in at a 93% on the Bravo barometer. I think this one was a small step down from Fallout and Rogue Nation, but it's still just a phenomenal action movie, and I can't wait to see Part 2 next year. But let me know what you thought of the movie in my review in the comments below. And if you liked it, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe for more videos coming very soon. And I mean very, very soon. It's going to be a crazy week with the Barbenheimer approaching. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it as always, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.